mixed reviews. I've just been to see the new X-Men film, Days of Future Past, and I thought it was pretty good. What about you?
Yeah, really good film, really enjoyable.
Yeah, well, it's one that we've been waiting a while for and been kind of following on the website. So, do you want to kind of start off with, what you thought? You're probably more the person to talk about this than me.
Yeah, well, I'm not a huge X-Man kind of fan, so I mean, I do like them a lot, but I've not read all the comics.
The fact that you called it X-Man is a
Screw you.
non-name remembering motherfucker. But yeah, I didn't really like the franchise at first when it started out, but I watched them all pretty much for the first time last year, and yeah, pretty good. So I think this does justice, and it also undoes some of the damage left by the third one.
Yeah, the third one was really short-sighted and just lets randomly kill off this character and that character and the other character just to clear stuff up, because we're probably not going to do any other big films with all the characters, so why not kill them off? It's stupid and short-sighted, so I'm glad they've undone that. To specify, this film does, through time travel, pretty much undo, certainly the third one, debatably the first and second one as well, so it's kind of almost like a Star Trek reboot in that way.
Yeah, because they go back in time and change things, but I had a lot of questions.
Everything after First Class is now up in the air about did it happen or not.
Yes, it's open to interpretation as to what bits you want to pick and leave because they've changed things. But yeah, there's certain things I have questions going into the film, and I think most of it's been answered. I mean, things like why is Professor X walking, why is Beast sometimes human. They pretty much explain that because he's got Hank McCoy has got this serum to kind of keep the mutant DNA at bay, kind of thing.
Or at least repress it. He says he takes enough to blunt the edge off in his case, so he can be normal, but if he needs to, he can also beast out. Almost a bit like the Hulk in some ways.
Yeah. So there was that. I mean, there were a few other things. My main question was why is Professor X still alive for starters, and why has Magneto got his powers back? Because the last time we saw him as old people, Professor X was dead, and Magneto had lost his powers. Doesn't explain that really.
Technically, there's a teaser bit at the end of the third one, which was hinting that Professor X had somehow transferred his mind into another body.
Yeah,
but a lot of that subplot got dropped from the third one, so it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense.
And we only know that because we had to look it up. I mean, there was a thing where he said hello Moira, or something after the credits in the third one. But it doesn't make sense in itself. When we looked it up, that was what it was. It was
it's basically he was born with a twin brother, but the brother was screwed up in the womb because Charles got all the mental powers and his brother was effectively mindless. So he basically transferred into his body. Although why the other Charles Xavier body would also be crippled is
exactly doesn't make sense.
Ultimately, it doesn't make sense, but it also doesn't really matter.
I think they just forgot it. I think they just said bollocks to it. He's still alive. Get on with it. Same with Wolverine. Why has he got metal claws again? Because last we saw it was bone claws, but in the future he's got metal claws again. So, which,
like I said, was one of my small pet peeves with Wolverine because it didn't make any sense. It wasn't all that dramatic, and to be honest, the bone claws in the comic are really cool, but in the films they look really stupid.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but they do. They just look kind of ridiculous. Mostly because they don't even look remotely sharp.
Well, yeah. But he's got bone claws all the way through the film in this, apart from the future.
Yeah, because he doesn't have his adamantium.
I mean, one thing I did kind of wonder, and it did turn out to be the case, was that the original cast were going to be in it at the beginning for maybe 20 minutes. Rest of the film is set in the past with the first.
It kind of goes backwards and forwards a little bit, because in the future bit, I mean, it won't go scene, but in the future bit, you've got Bobby Drake, Iceman, who's still there. Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat, who's also still there. You've got Warpath, who's a new guy. I mean, I know him from X-Men. He's a B-list character from X-Men. He's quite well known. You've got Colossus, who's again one of the big name X-Men. You've got Blink, who she's kind of a bit of off on a tangent. She was introduced in Age of Apocalypse, but kind of died off, so she was never in the mainstream comic. But they did bring her back in a spin-off thing that was all about dimension travelling. But they realised her really well in this, a power to teleport through things.
Yeah, it looked
very different than Nightcrawler.
Other than that, I think you pretty much know what the thing's about anyway. You can get the gist of it from the trailers. Events that go on, well, the future's really shit basically. They go back in time to kind of change it, and that's what happens. Wolverine goes back in time and it changes the future. So it's changed the mainstream timeline of all the X-Men films basically. So you kind of pick and choose what you still consider, but it does. Don't worry, it doesn't mean that the original X-Men films didn't happen. You know, you can get your Blu-rays and they're still there. The discs, are still in the box. Where damn it!
No!
They've been erased! No!
Anyway,
right. Forget what I was just saying. Right, okay.
Jokes aside. Sorry, also in the future, she kind of cut me off there. There's also Bishop, who's another big kind of character, and a flame guy. I didn't quite catch his name, but he could be a couple of people. So they have like some pretty big name like characters in the future as well as in the past. And you go back to them maybe like 20-30% of the film. You do see a good chunk of them.
It's not overcrowded anyway. I think that was a problem.
Yeah,
with some of the other
certainly
films.
in the past I was surprised at how few characters there are.
Yeah, there's only like count on one hand. Quicksilver as well. He was very good. I liked him. I think
Yeah, he looks a bit silly, but he was quite fun. And they even have like a little bit of a joke where he's like basically like talking about Magneto, and he's like, "What guy who can move metal? Yeah, my mum used to know a guy like that." Which is kind of like an allusion to the fact that in the comics, Magneto is actually his dad.
Yeah. Because of course Quicksilver's going to be in Avengers Age of Ultron with his twin sister Scarlet Witch, but it's not the same actor, it's not the same...
Character.
It's based on the same character, but it's different franchise.
Yeah. I don't think they actually call him Quicksilver in this at all, he's just Peter Maximoff.
Yeah.
So probably in the other thing, he's going to be Quicksilver, but he's never going to be referred to as Pietro Maximoff.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's quite interesting because the different actors...
Again, he's not in all the film though, he's just in the breaking Magneto out scene.
Yeah, kind of like what they do with Gambit in X-Men Origins Wolverine film. It had a big enough part in it, but it was only for a part.
But also, I thought they did quite a good job of doing, well, both the future stuff, which is like this dark dystopian Terminator thing, but they also did quite a good kind of like flashback to the 70s in this case rather than the 60s, like First Class. They did that quite well.
Yeah, that's something else I want to mention as well, because timeline I was a bit confused when it's set. Now, it's
set in the 1970s.
1973, yeah, specifically. And they do say as well that the Sentinels took just under 50 years to realise the project. So the future stuff will be set early 2020s, basically. Which is a bit confusing because, Professor X and Magneto must be, very old, and they must be either very young in the 70s and 60s or they're very old.
Well, also, I think in the comics they're supposed to be, pretty damn old.
Yeah.
But also, kind of mutants are supposed to be, unusually healthy and, I can certainly buy that they've got, a slightly longer lifespan. That doesn't really...
I think don't sweat the maths.
Yeah.
The thing with this, there's a lot of continuity issues with all the films, but I think if the films are good enough, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, basically this is set in the tail end of, Vietnam.
Yeah.
Basically, you do see Havoc again briefly, although it's literally more than a cameo. You see him, he's getting sent back to the States along with Toad and a couple of other characters that I don't think we've seen before.
No.
Like I say, you also get Quicksilver, but he's only in fairly briefly. The main guys in the past are Magneto, Mystique, Charles Xavier, Wolverine naturally, and Beast. And those are pretty much your 5 characters that it's following throughout the entire story. It's not one of these where it's like a cast of
thousands.
Yeah.
X-Men 3.
Yeah, it basically follows these characters and what they're doing. Basically, the general gist of the plot is Bolivar Trask is building Sentinels, and if he gets his hands on Mystique's DNA, that's what allows the future Sentinels to be these really powerful, able to adapt to mutant powers and stuff, because they unlocked some secrets of mutant DNA from studying Mystique, which is also possibly why Mystique's such a cold evil bitch in X-Men's 1, 2 and 3, because she got really fucked over by this process. Because they basically talk about extracting bone marrow and brain fluid and torturing her and so forth to like learn what she can do.
Yeah, because I didn't buy that they were the same character really. Her and the Rebecca Romaine Stamos one, the original one, they were fairly different characters. So you can now understand the link from how she got from being kind of a nice person but with a bit of a dodgy side to like an all-out bitch kind of thing.
Yeah. Bolo Trask is quite good. He's played by Peter Dinklage, that a lot of people would recognise from Game of Thrones. And again, he's kind of been cast in a role where I don't think they were particularly like sending out casting calls for like somebody, or basically like a little person. They weren't like looking for like somebody who's like
average height.
Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere in it where it's like his height comes into play at all. You just get the impression he got the job because he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I've never seen him in anything before, and I thought it was quite good. It's quite good. Like look, he's quite good stare as well, hasn't he? He seems fairly kind of.
He does. He's a very good actor. I've seen him in a couple of things. He's done a lot of TV work and he's got like awards for it and stuff. I'm not surprised to see him in films, to be honest, because like I say, he is really good and really popular at the moment. But yeah, basically it's kind of like a fight for Mystique's soul almost, because Charles Xavier's trying to like get her to not kill Bolivar Trask, because that's one of the things that sets off the whole Sentinel initiative. And Magneto's more like, damn them all, I'm going to kill them all.
Yeah, he kind of screws the whole thing up, because he had a chance of like winning it over, then Magneto came along and kind of messed it up.
Although in a lot of ways, the fact that he did that also gave them the chance to be the heroes and save the day. And ultimately, Mystique's what swings it one way or the other. Does she kill the guy and doom the future, or does Charles manage to reach it and she possibly sets off down a less dark path? Now, we'll enter into spoilers here. At the end of the film, you find out that this has undone X-Men 3. Jean Grey's alive, Scott Summers is alive, well, you already knew Professor X is alive, but they're both definitely alive.
Kelsey Grammer is back as Beast.
Yeah, he's only there for like 2 seconds, but I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's quite good to see him.
Yeah, he was a perfect casting
what's the name
choice
was
for
there
Beast.
as well?
Rogue was there as well.
Yeah, briefly.
Basically, you don't see a lot of the characters, but you do see pretty much everyone. It's like, this is the future. I mean, they show that because like Wolverine, although he's listening to like Golden Oldies, he's listening to it on this like fancy holographic kind of radio player thing.
I think it's about 10 years in the future kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which was always pretty much the vibe of the original film. Well, it came out in 2000, so it was set around about like 10 years in the future. It didn't say that, but that's what I got out of it anyway.
But yeah, you get to see everybody, it was nice. I really liked that bit.
They also explained the bent bullet thing. We did a video on this about 6 months ago when that broke. They kind of said that it was... Magneto suggested that he didn't kill Kennedy. He was trying to save Kennedy.
Yeah, the only weird thing is, maybe I misread this, but they kind of hinted at in the website it was like Mystique who actually took the shot.
Yeah.
But that completely goes against what's going on in the film, so either that was changed in production or I misread something, which is entirely like me. I'm an idiot at times. So.
Yeah, I don't think that they didn't really go into that too much, but just conscious of time anyway. There's the end credits scene as well, if you want to mention that.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Basically, there's just this desert scene with all these like slaves chanting "Am Subbanur, Am Subbanur" kind of thing. And you basically see this guy in like Egyptian-style robes standing on top of a sand dune with his hands up in the air. And basically you just see this pyramid being built as if by the power of his mind. And it kind of pans around and you see he's basically this pale-skinned guy with blue lips who's basically Apocalypse. He's one of the biggest X-Men villains. I mean, not the biggest, but he's certainly right up there.
You can see the
He had his... you also see like 4 like figures in the distance, like horsemen. Which is another thing he did, because he had his 4 like horsemen of Apocalypse. War, Death, Famine and Plague. They could actually bring back Angel with that, because they didn't really do anything with him in 3. Because Angel is the horseman of Death.
Dark Angel.
Yeah, because he gets his metal wings and so forth from like Apocalypse.
Yeah. That'd be quite good, because it was Ben... Was it it Ben Foster the name of the actor?
I can't remember because basically he does bugger all in X-Men 3.
Oh, I'll get the name in a second because I know he's in The Mechanic. Yeah, Ben Foster played the Angel. He wasn't in much, but it was pretty good.
Then again,
good
you wouldn't
actor.
necessarily have to have the same actor because basically once Apocalypse is done with him,
Yeah.
the guy looks completely different. His
Yeah.
skin's all like pale
it's
and blue. And...
Ben Foster's a good actor. I like him. If I see him in a film.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying if they could get him back, cool. But if they
Yeah.
couldn't get him back, I can see ways around it. Or they might go a completely different way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Apocalypse is one of the big villains.
That's out next year, I think, as well. So 2015. So should be good. Probably
But yeah, it's nice. It was nice first of all to see the Sentinels because you got the kind of classic giant robot Sentinels in the 70s era bit, and you also got to see the kind of like
Thor Destroyer type.
yeah, they kind of they do look a little bit like that.
They look a lot.
I think yeah, they do look.
Even the face opening and the flames coming out.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be Prime Sentinels. They're called because they have these like really super, ultra advanced ones from the future that can like mimic humans and like adapt to any mutability. The old ones had that to a lesser degree, but it was like one generation might be like vulnerable to like Wolverine's claws, but the next generation would have like a force field to stop him like stabbing them kind of thing. But these are like literally while Bobby Drake's there freezing them, they'll adapt and be able to kill him.
And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got time for anyway. So
yeah, it was great film, strong recommend.
Yeah.
Really liked it. I mean, I'm a casual X-Men fan. I've followed the cartoons and the comics to a lesser degree. I'm a big fan, so I definitely enjoyed it. And you're more, you're more a fan of the films.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'd recommend it as well from my point of view.
So that's a recommend from like a nerd and like a slightly lesser nerd.
Yeah.
So
But yes.
no matter which level you're coming in from, you'll probably enjoy this. Certainly, I think if you liked X-Men First Class, you'll like this.
Yeah, it felt like more of a sequel to that, but yeah. Anyway,
But like I said, at the end it did give that nice feeling of like continuity with the others, and like we're celebrating the others. We've gone to the trouble of getting these actors back. You basically see everybody.
Exactly. Well, that's pretty much everything anyway. So if you want to check the website, it's brandnexreviews.com, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
See you.